We are here today to examine the heinous crimes, as claimed by the plaintiff, committed by the co-defendants, Miss Rona and 2020. Miss Rona, 2020, do you both plead guilty to these crimes? Your Honor, my defendant is not guilty because she is simply built different. Yes, a reasonable consideration. Your Honor, if you consider that hers, even 2020's build, are revolved around the chaos experienced globally, then may I say they are incorrect.
January 2020. Now, when people speak of the notorious 2020, flashes of Miss Rona appear before their very eyes.
Anything they need before another round of freezing rain hits our area tonight. So
wearing a mask can actually cause you to get sick. So
wearing a mask can actually cause you to get sick.
Yes, absolutely.
The University of Washington estimates around 33,000 lives could be saved by October 1st if nearly everyone begins to wear a mask.
But I think we're forgetting an important event that preceded it all: the Aussies. Now, the Australian bushfire had begun in late 2019, but Mother Nature had decided that we deserved a little more for our such wonderful behavior. So she gave us a sequel, a cinematic masterpiece so great that it affected nearly 3 billion animals, killing and displacing reptiles, mammals, birds, and frogs. An estimated 46 million acres were burned, more than 30 were killed directly as a result of the fire, and hundreds more as a result of the bushfire smoke, and thousands of homes were lost to the savage fires. The sky turned blood red, fire-induced thunderstorms roared above, and the forests crackled as the fires slithered up their branches. Not surprisingly, the Australian bushfires were regarded as one of the worst wildfire disasters in modern history. But this trophy was not shiny enough, not large enough for 2020. Oh no. Because what creates the most tension in our such self-centered and consumer-oriented society? Political tension. Yes, one of our favorite American Disney princesses and her ginger husband decided to quit the royal family and move to Southern California. And of course, it's enough to rock anyone off their chairs if one decides to pursue an independent life from the monarchy as a result of unfair treatment from the press and media. And of course, Southern California is a questionable choice in its own. And while at least the British media was sympathetic to Meghan's and Harry's decision,
Also critical was Meghan's father, Thomas Markle, who accused his daughter and Prince Harry of destroying one of the greatest long-living institutions ever.
They're turning it into a Walmart with a crown on it now.
2020 comes along again and expects another round of applause as it strikes another blow onto the Earth's freshly wounded body. Yes, everyone, the moment we have all been waiting for, Miss Rona. She begins her debut with the announcement from the World Health Organization on January 9th, 2020, in which a virus, which scientists thought was likely an unidentified coronavirus at that time, had made its appearance in Wuhan, China. Now, this would certainly raise an eyebrow from world leaders, especially as they are in charge of a vulnerable population that has the ability to wreak havoc upon the slightest move. And it did. For some, the seeds of fear were being sown into the public, but though a little ruffled, people kept to themselves and continued on as normal. For now, a comprehensive package of guidance relating to the management of an outbreak was published by WHO between January 10 and 12. Briefings were held, tweets were sent, committees were conducted, and hey, even a free online course regarding the coronavirus is provided for all your children's desires. Now things seemed a little worrisome, with rising cases and deaths in China and rumors that the country was not reporting its cases accurately and silencing those who dared speak upon it, but not enough for a panic yet. That was, of course, until January 31 when WHO declared a public health emergency. Global deaths had reached 259 at this point, and some people were concerned. They were thinking, who shall we turn to, and what can we do, really? And as things escalated more and more, and deaths rose higher and higher, some world leaders were also finding themselves in a difficult position. But who wants to publicly announce their incompetence? Well, apparently these leaders do, because they could not have made it more obvious. It would only be more fitting if Miss Rona's big oopsie had a large domino effect on other elements of society and threatened to rip the fabric of nations apart. As the coronavirus spreads, with China experiencing its deadliest day on February 4, violence erupts in several countries. On February 6, Palestinians clashed with Israeli forces, leaving 3 Palestinians dead and 12 Israeli soldiers injured. Although this conflict has been attributed to border disputes and humanitarian law violations, the Trump peace plan enacted by America's one and only Cheeto Puff definitely did not play a part in escalating these tensions. And on February 23, riots broke out in Delhi between Anti-Citizenship Amendment Act, or CAA, and pro-CAA protesters, leading to the death of 53 people in the course of 10 days. Feel full yet from this 5-star full-course meal? Well, that was only the entree. We'll now move on to the main dish. March 2020, April 2020. As cases and deaths rose, stocks plunged, leading to the stock market officially crashing on March 9th, 2020. The US unemployment rate was at its highest since the Great Depression, and, well, people were asking, what do we do now? Well, you could set a comfy mattress outside, bake some crumpets as you listen to the crackling campfire, and rest in your warm, tattered clothing beneath the grimy bridge. Or you could go out and steal toilet paper.
Alright, let's see front row view of this craziness.
With travel bans taking place, schools closing, businesses shutting their doors, countries shutting down and entering lockdown mode, people did what people do best in these situations.
And here they come.
More on the coronavirus emergency. As fears of a pandemic continue to rise, people are scrambling to stock up on supplies, prompting some stores to start rationing how much you can buy.
Long lines with trolleys full of food and other essentials are a familiar sight around the world now. Shoppers are choosing to strip shelves bare ahead of any lockdown.
You don't have to buy so much. Take it easy. Just relax.
Have been charged with a fray and are due in court next.
The government is making it clear that there is no reason to panic. There absolutely is no reason for this kind of panic buying.
Well, panic buying has
nearly bare. Here, produce gone, cleaning products low, bleach totally bought out.
With the coronavirus outbreak being declared a pandemic on March 11th, people equipped themselves with their survival gear and instincts, prided themselves with their extensive survival knowledge, and set off into the night to follow in their ancestors' footsteps. In the US, carts lined up outside stores as they waited for the gates to open to reveal their delicious, scrumptious toilet paper. Clashes and brawls arose. The battle to the death had begun. It was everyone for themselves. In Toronto, Canada, food rationing ensued, in which shoppers were limited to buying no more than 2 gallons of milk and 2 dozen eggs at a Loblaws? I'm illiterate and non-Canadian, so there you go. Non-perishable items were a hot item among all, and when, out of luck, people resorted to their innate resourcefulness. But toilet paper brawls were the most common out of the basic necessities such as food, which seems perfectly logical to me. These inspirational moments also spurred some creative works as well, akin to Shakespeare, such as this piece of poetry from Leslie Klein, in which she states, "The store shelves are bare of necessities. Fear took the helm, driving shopping to insanity. So a cushion of paper gives a sense of security." I can see why this would be the perfect analytical piece for future high school English classes. And not only were Charmin and Spam seen as the items needed for pinnacle survival, akin to the gold rush, but PPE, or personal protective equipment, such as masks, were seen as gold to old eyes. Hospitals were overflowing with patients, stretched to their capacities, and some were even burdened with the decision to choose some patients over others. Lack of PPE available to essential workers only flared these problems as people hoarded equipment and turned it into one of the most lucrative businesses of all time: price gouging. Yes, prices on Amazon for toilet paper and hand sanitizer skyrocketed, and those who carried their mini hand sanitizers from elementary school were clearly at the top of the food chain. But oh well, even without cleaning supplies and staple foods, at least we can enjoy the 2020 Summer Olympics soon. Nope. The event, which was supposed to take place in Tokyo, Japan, was soon postponed as increasing cases and deaths loomed in the midst of chaos and was rescheduled to the summer of 2021. Athletes were forced to shelve their dreams for a little while longer. But even with all this going on, the domino effect continues, and 2020 shows no mercy. May 25th, 2020. Floyd, a 46-year-old African-American man, has died after being arrested by police outside a store in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This act of injustice highlighted past events of the U.S.'s history of racism, and protests erupted across the country, fueled by the use of social media to promote the cause. People took to the streets, demonstrations broke out globally. Some even tried to take advantage of the agitated state of the media and widespread civil unrest in order to loot stores and businesses. A wonderful move to celebrate an early Black Friday, if I say so myself. But anyways, things went so downhill that even a CNN reporter was even arrested while covering a Minneapolis protest. On the sixth night of protests, violence continued to spread across the country. 5 people were reported killed and at least 4,400 had been arrested. And to add a little spice to the struggle, former President Trump decided to solve the issue by threatening to enact military action on demonstrations nationwide and proceeded to pose in front of a church with a Bible after police, under federal command, used tear gas on a group of peaceful demonstrators. Yeah, that happened. And it surely cannot go downhill from here, can it? I will spoiler it. It can. And it did. September 29, 2020. Using strong rhetoric,
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
I want to make.
clever remarks.
It's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me, this.
Hey,
this
let me just say to you.
But are you willing tonight?
And irrefutable evidence.
My supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully, because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it. But I hope it's going to be a fair election. If it's a fair election,
urging them what?
I am 100% on board. But if I see tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated, I can't go along with that.
It was the best representation of America's political stability in a lifetime. A great picture of American democracy. Though both showcased a brilliant attempt in persuading the American public, Biden's strong frame and peace of mind pulled him through, after what seemed like years of constant struggle. Years. And with his second in command, of course. As this tale comes to an end, one wonders if 2020 was really just a dumpster fire and should be exiled to Brazil for its questionable timeline. And you're right, send it to Brazil. And so you see, Your Honor, there is substantial evidence supporting the claim that 2020 and its mastermind, Ms. Rona, are guilty of crimes and should be held accountable. There is no mistake that they have solely disregarded the welfare of the world's people and have caused irreparable damage. Well, I think I see the logic now. There is no excuse for what you both have done. It is quite certain that Ms. Rona escalated conflicts drastically in 2020's premeditated plan. Send them home, officer. Send them to Brazil.